let's talk about our mortality, shall we? As recently as the year 2000, before immunotherapy was well developed or widely available for stage 4 metastatic melanoma, the 5-year survival rate for the disease was under 10%, maybe between 1 and 5%, depending on who you ask or what paper you read. By 2018, when I was first diagnosed with metastatic melanoma, the 5-year survival rate for stage 4 patients had risen to like 20 or 25%. Still not great. In fact, the first time I talked to a doctor about it, which was during the wide excision of the melanoma on my leg, she said, "Do you understand the ramifications of what's happening right now?" And I said, "I don't think so, but I'm starting to get the picture." Nearly 7 years and 2 stage 4 occurrences later, and I still don't think I have that clear of a picture, despite higher survival rates, better treatment, a good prognosis, and a whole host of information that I know about living with this disease. In fact, that's what has led me to the conclusion that stage is just a number. There is only one number that matters in your case, and that is 1, because you are an N of 1. Your case is the only one like yours, and you have to approach it as such, otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy reading the statistics and thinking about the possibilities. Look, I'm also not trying to be obtuse about my situation or advanced cancer diagnoses or the landscape of treatment for advanced cancer as a whole. At some point in time, you can't N of 1 your way or positivity your way out of a diagnosis that isn't responding to treatment. I'm 7 years into my diagnosis and treatment, and I've had good results from treatment, and my prognosis remains great. But that could turn. We're all living scan to scan as advanced patients. So if you've had someone pass away from cancer, or you're dealing with a tough diagnosis or a tough portion of treatment, this isn't to rub it in or point out that there is a disparity in those numbers of the people who survive past 5 years or who don't. This is a shitty situation all around. But part of why I continue to make this vlog is that I think it's important for me to give an accurate representation in real time of what it's like to be an advanced cancer patient and to face these diagnoses and hear these numbers and grapple with the scary thoughts and have to contextualize our mortality and adjust my expectations and my reality. I know that when I was first diagnosed, it really helped me to hear from other people who had gone through similar situations so I could kind of bounce their ideas off and assimilate them to create thoughts of my own about what it's like to face death as a cancer patient, because I want to be making this vlog when I die of something, whether it's cancer or otherwise. I want to chronicle this journey all the way through, and part of that for me, and then for you guys by extension, is knowing how I feel about the possibility of the end. Also, I realize I just soft committed to making this vlog for the rest of my days, which if my lifespan matches or exceeds my expectations, I'd better learn how to edit and produce videos better than this, because if I have to stare into a fucking iPhone and ring light setup while sitting on a piano bench that might explode at any time for too much longer, I'll probably die of that rather than cancer. But I digress to a different set of quasi-realities as we talk about how my outlook changed when I was diagnosed. So among the many questions that I get asked about existentiality and mortality, there are two that I kind of consistently grapple with, and even more so near times of diagnosis or near changes in what I'm going through as it regards, my life expectancy and what cancer might do to affect it. And those are, do I have to change how I'm living, and do I have a bucket list? And for the first question, do I have to change how I'm living? I don't mean in a day-to-day procedural sense, because obviously when you're diagnosed with advanced cancer and you have to go through treatment, you are going to have to change that. You're going to have to go do IV immunotherapy or take pills every day, and you're going to get side effects, and you're going to be sick for a little bit or a while, and you're going to have to really, deal with whatever it throws at your body. But I'm talking about, do I have to change how I'm living in a behavioral sense? Do I have to adjust my morals, or do I have to adjust how I see my life and the composition of my behaviors within it? In fact, I remember the first time I really grappled with these thoughts, rolled them around as like a thought exercise more than just fleeting terror. It was after my first lymph node excision for my first diagnosis for melanoma. I was laying in my bed and I was in excruciating pain. I had this incision on my groin where the lymph node was that was hyper painful, and I had 50 stitches in my calf from the wide excision. And I was pretty immobilized during that time, and I was on a lot of painkillers and smoking a lot of weed to get through it. And I remember Through the Wire by Kanye West came on, and it has a segment that talks about his jaw being wired shut when he's in the hospital following a car accident. He's thinking about his mortality. And first of all, I started just crying inconsolably. That was the first time I felt very, very scared about the situation. I didn't know the results of a PET scan that were coming back, and I really thought, okay, I could conceivably die from cancer in the near future. And so I thought, do I need to change anything? Is there someone I need to reconcile with? Do I need to become more religious? Do I need to, change my habits so that I'm achieving the things that I want to in a day-to-day sense? And luckily, the answer was kind of no. This is actually directly tied to the bucket list thing. I know that there's a great amount of privilege or good fortune in the next set of sentences because my life has been very lucky. It's been very good, even including, through these cancer diagnoses. But until I had cancer, I mean, I lived a very free and a very fortunate life. My parents were great, my brother's great, my family as a whole is great. I have friends who have supported me all the way through my life. I have an extension of a family in this big group of friends who all love each other. I've had great successes and I've had a lot of failures, but I've had the freedom to pursue the things that I want. I've had agency in the triumphs and the failures that I've had. And most days when I've gotten up, I haven't felt like something or someone is forcing me to do something I don't want to do. That's a very, very fortunate statement and one that I don't take for granted. Similarly, when I thought about a bucket list, and actually defining something like gun to my head or cancer to my leg, like what do I need to do before I pass away if that is going to happen? It was hard to come up with stuff because due to the fortune and the freedom and the success and the agency that I've had, it's created an environment where I'm not going to feel cheated if and when I die. That's not to say there aren't things that I want to do, like buy a house, get a dog, get better at music, improve my basketball skills. There's always going to be things that we're going to want to do. I could die at 39 and have things that I want to do, or I could die at 100 and there's still going to be things in the world that I haven't been able to experience and would want to do, but you're just not going to get the chance in your lifetime because the world is so vast. And maybe I came to these conclusions a little bit out of self-defense or being pragmatic to reduce my stress while being a cancer patient because I think everyone understands the concept of mortality as we, get older in a natural sense, not whether you get diagnosed with a serious illness or not. But I mean, by the time you're like a teenager, you understand that there is finite time on Earth. You got to get to getting. And I didn't want to overly stress myself when I had to rest from cancer, or ultimately, if it does become so serious that I'm not able to really, pursue the ambitious things that I wanted in life, I don't want that to be, bumming me out as I spend my remaining days. And I think this outlook has served me well for the last 6 or 7 years because one thing that not only my oncologist has told me, but research has shown, and I think it's kind of common sense, but overly stressing while in the middle of a diagnosis can't help you. And I'm not saying you shouldn't stress because, look, I haven't been pushed to the brink yet. I've had a lot of down times where I've been sick from side effects or I've gone through painful surgeries and the emotional toll has been large. But realistically speaking, I'm hitting the upper percentile outcomes. I have a great prognosis relative to my diagnosis and I don't know how I'm going to react when things get truly, truly bad. So maybe my disposition will change then. And that's not to say that I've eradicated stress or anxiety or fear or any of the negative emotions that come with having an advanced cancer diagnosis. I mean, this is 7 years into it. It is a fucked up situation, but it's one that I can't get too mad about because who am I going to get angry at? Who am I going to blame? My body for mutating? Nobody did this to me. It's just a circumstance that I am now in. So I allow myself to feel these things, but in a way that I think is appropriate and in a way that doesn't taint how I'm living my life, doesn't change, the way I react to things because there's going to be a lot of ups and downs that I have to experience, along the way to becoming an N of 1 or to beating the survival statistics, which I already have to some degree. I mean, I've lived longer than most people had historically as of 25 years ago. So if that's going to get better and I'm going to be part of the cohort that lives to the 80%, 90%, 99 or 100% survival rate for cancer, I think it is better for me to adopt this mentality. But anyway, I've probably spun my wheels about this abstraction long enough today. If I'm going to make vlogs until I die, I'll probably have a lot of opportunities to rehash and update you on how I really feel about these things. If you're still with me right now, I appreciate you spending your time on this vlog and stay tuned for the rest of my life. That means like and subscribe, I guess. Either way, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.